think we all have groups of friends, but I would challenge you just who are your people and just really dive in. And I promise you're going to return the favor and that's a beautiful thing to be able to help somebody else through suffering and then just be that prayer partner for them.
Hey guys, it's Nancy and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real and let's laugh. Hey guys, welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And I am super excited today because today's conversation is really close to my heart. I'm sitting down with someone I've known for a long time, sorority sister, a woman of deep faith, and someone who has walked through real heartbreak and come out on the other side with more softness, wisdom, and purpose, not less. Carey's story is one so many women will recognize. It's about disappointment, about a marriage that didn't turn out the way she hoped, about loss, grief, and the quiet question we all ask at some point, who am I now? But it's also a story about God's faithfulness in the dark, about discovering gifts you didn't even know you had until life stripped everything else away. Carey took her love for beauty, color, helping other women feel seen, and turned it into something meaningful, not just a business, but a way of reminding women of who they are. What I love most about Carey is that she doesn't pretend the pain doesn't matter. She honors it. And she also shows us that heartbreak does not get the final word. Love, purpose, and joy can come again, sometimes in ways even better. I think almost always even better than what we imagined. So Carey, I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you for being willing to share your story. Honestly, the hard parts, the healing, and the beauty God has brought from it all.
Oh, thank you.
So for people who don't know you yet, how would you describe who you are beyond the titles and accomplishments?
I am first and foremost the daughter of a king, and I have always known that, but very, like you said, very beautifully that you don't always realize it until everything else is kind of stripped away. I've lived kind of a fairy tale life, parents that adore each other and great education and 3 beautiful kids. And, it's kind of like when your teacup gets jostled, like what comes out, it's like, how are you going to deal with it? And I'm really grateful that I have a Lord and Savior that has paved the way for me and in many ways has rescued me out of a really, really dark situation.
Okay. Love all of that. And so talking about that, let's expand on that. So the hard chapter, right? The divorce, and I'm assuming that's what you're referencing, the grief, disappointment. Divorce can feel like a death that nobody prepares you for.
Mm-hmm.
So what did that season take from you? And what was the hardest loss for you? The marriage itself, the future you imagined, or your sense of identity?
That's such a good question. And I think over the years of kind of trauma recovery, really asking myself, what is it that I was sad about the most and most wounded by? And I will be honest, I think I kind of got married right out of college and didn't dig very deeply into the kind of man that I wanted to marry. But we had what I thought was a good life together. And then kind of fast forward, we sort of started growing apart, as a lot of marriages do. We were married for 20 years. And during that time, my son, when he's 26 now, and he was 12, he had osteosarcoma. So he had cancer, bone cancer. And we were in the hospital for a year. And really, I think most people would probably say, well, anybody's marriage would kind of fall apart during that. It's either you grow together or grow apart. But what I found later is that these fissures were already there. They were very much broken. There was a lot of isolation and separation with him, and I was just functioning. As women, we do the carpool, we do the meals. I went back to work full time. I was doing all the things, and so fast forward to when it happened, it was like within 48 hours, I found out he was living a double life. And it was alcohol, drugs, gambling, prostitutes. He had gone through all of my 401k, the kids' IRAs. I mean, the kids' all of my grandmother's inheritance. Over like 10 years, he had been siphoning out this money for his vices. And you just feel humiliated. I mean, I think that's the core thing. I'm like, it's just embarrassing. I mean, people say, well, surely you had to have known. I'm like, all of my best friends and their husbands were his best friends. Like nobody saw it. My parents didn't see it. Nobody saw it. And so you just feel like a fool. So that was probably my.
Golly, Carey, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. Wow. Were there moments where you felt disappointed in God, even if you didn't want to admit it?
Yes. And I think most of that had actually been happening for the last probably 5 years of our marriage. It was just like, why did you give me him? Why? I had no plans to divorce. I wasn't going to do that. Like, I was raised thinking you just stay married, and it would have to be something so sensational for me to leave that I feel like that was a real gift from God to pluck me out of that marriage. And I didn't know how bad it was, obviously, but now seeing the flip side, I'm like, on the very best days, that's the worst days of my marriage now. So I feel very grateful actually that it was so off the chain that nobody questioned. It was kind of like, well, of course. I mean, and so, there's fallout from all that. And there's, divorce is not fun. But for me, it was like in Texas, it's like 60 days is like the minimum day. And I think we were 60 days. I was like, I couldn't get out fast enough.
Well, sure. Yeah. Well, I love that you say that you're able to see the gift in it because, consider it pure joy, right? When we're faced with trials of many kinds. And that's sometimes really, it's seemingly impossible while you're in it, but I love that you can see his hand throughout that and not be bitter. That really speaks to how well you know him and your relationship with him.
It's funny. I mean, it's real quick. I do think like it's all the deposits over all those years of my prayer life and God. I mean, I act like it's something I did. It's God with me that showing me how much he loved me that you can't think when something happens like that. Like I couldn't make dinner. I mean, my friends came in, they did everything for me. And yet it's like, so then you're just kind of on autopilot. And like, that's the thing. It's like, had I not had that foundation of his love for me, I mean, you're mad, but it's like, he can handle that.
Yeah. You're mad and scared
and
everything. Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with these 3 kids? 2 of them go to college. Like what in the world?
Yeah. How am I going to do this? So, okay. What did you learn about yourself in the quiet aftermath when there was nothing left to perform or hold together?
Well, I learned community matters. Friendships really matter. I leaned into my friend. They tucked me into bed. My mom flew in. She lived with me for 3 months. You can kind of fall apart and it's okay. You're loved and accepted. And I did have to go back to work and fake it there and all that. But I also learned that you don't have to be anybody you're not. It's like, I just felt like I had for a lot of years just portrayed this image of our family of 5 and like we'd show up to church together and we do all that. And it's like, nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors. Right. And I hear that over and over and over from women that I've had coffees with that are going through similar things. I'm like, it's so freeing to not worry about, like, just to be like, okay, I'm a mess and it's okay. Nobody expects me. I'm doing that to myself. Like, I can just be and survive and not perform.
Yeah. I think
hell.
we do that so much as women is, okay, everything's fine. I've got this. Even if there were, I think you used the word, fissures in the relationship, right? And we try to act like it's okay. I've got it. And then when something like this happens where there is no cover up, where there's no looking away, when it is just like a nuclear bomb,
Yeah.
right? It's, you have to, like you said, just become okay with everything not being okay. And to your point, I don't know how people get through something like that without their faith. Was there a moment when you realized that God, on this note, that God had not abandoned you, even though your life looked nothing like you planned?
Yeah. So, like I said, my mom was in town and she loved him like a son. And so she's going through all the same emotions. And we had what I call like a war room table. So my ex-husband, just so you know, like the kids haven't seen him in 8 years, like going on 9. Like he left the house and never came home. He had gotten arrested. And anyway, but my mom was in town. My girlfriends were over. Everybody had a laptop open and we were looking through like, what bills do we owe? Are the lights going to go out? Like I hadn't done the bills, all that stuff. And so one of my really good friends, she was looking at like all my accounts and, finding out that we had back taxes and just all these things that he hadn't taken care of, and tuition payments he had frozen for a year and just so he could play. And so we owed an enormous amount of money. So I was like, that's okay because I've got my grandmother's inheritance and it's sitting in this account. So I remember logging on and I was like, wait, I can't get in. So I call and the guy's like, after like an hour, he said, ma'am, there's $7 in this account.
Carey.
And she was a child of the Depression. She had saved her entire life from, I'm her only grand. So it was devastating. But in that moment, so my mom starts screaming like guttural, like, what in the world? How did he do this? Why did he do this? I start screaming. I didn't know. And she's like, I'm not blaming you, but how? So I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I know. And so we both are a crumpled mess. And I'm trying to hug her and she's trying to hug me. She is like my everything, my mom. And so we go into my bedroom and my friend Jennifer was there and she just gave us both a Xanax. She said, what's your dad's phone number? So she calls my dad. She's like, you got to come in. And so it was like waking up, I kind of remember waking up and my mom and I would sleep together every night and I would just wake up and she would just be singing over me. We're going to get through it. We're family. We're going to get through it. And God is not going to abandon us. Side note, biological father, who's a pilot, he died in a car accident when I was 2. And so it had always been the 2 of us. And so she was very much like, this isn't the first time, little girl, that we've gone through something like this. We're going to make it. It's going to be fine. But when I saw her lose it, I was like, oh my gosh, but she's human too. So anyway, I don't know. Hey, yeah, she's human too. And she was mad. And I loved that she was mad for me.
And so your mom, I think it's so important for people listening to know that, as mothers now and as grandmothers, whatever your role is with children, the faith that you model for them as they're growing up in their journey, right? And I know that from my mom, right? That it is so important, and you may not even realize it as you're doing it, but I cannot tell you how many women I talk to that while their stories are different, everybody's story is different, the faith that they either came to through a mother or a grandmother, it's so foundational, right?
So foundational.
And it's so important to have that. And I love that you had that with your mom. So how did y'all rebuild? Because this is really made for TV movie kind of stuff, right?
Well,
I know you haven't heard that. I'm not the first person to say that to you, but it's, how did you begin to rebuild? How did you model that faith for your children during this time? Because as an adult and as a wife, you just lost a husband and the man you knew was nothing like what he really was. For your children, it's their father, right? So how were you able to equip them with the strength and the faith that you were even grappling with at the time? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say my kids at the time were 17, 15, and 13. And they went to a Christian school, and they have always had education through the grid of scripture. So they were already such old souls when it came to like faith. And
Wow.
I was able hurt in front of them freely. I told them, I mean, some people I'm sure disagreed with this, but I told them everything. I mean, and you tend to parent to your oldest anyway. And so I have boy, girl. And so my sweet daughter, she, I'm sure she absorbed some and some of it fell off, but they all had very different kind of reactions to that. And I just was, we're going to get through it. God has us. And it's really funny. This is kind of a funny story. So my oldest is mild Asperger's. I mean, he's very high functioning, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but kind of like just so black and white. So my daughter she's the youngest. She was just crying. I can't even believe he did this. I just left the room. My middle just stayed there, and he's just sweet boy. I mean, he's just like, it's okay, mama. I got you. I'll be the man of the house. It's okay. I got you. And then Luke, my oldest, he says, I never really liked him anyway. So typical. And it was just like, we all just burst into laughter. I mean, it was just kind of like, yeah, well, he was annoying. It was just really funny. So, but the beauty of it is, I got the house. So in the divorce, thank the Lord for that. That was a good kind of investment for us. And I sold it and bought this tiny little house in Richardson. And I mean, I think it was like the size of a living room. And all three of my kids now say that was the best time of their childhood. I mean, we would sit on the back porch, and I bought these Adirondack chairs and a fire pit. And I mean, they were going off to college, but that was such a sweet time for us. And so just healing. I mean, it was just, they're fun. And I don't know, it was just, today's a hard day. How are you doing? And they'd be like, yep, today's a hard day, and then like the next day, it's like somebody would bring us up. And it was just, I felt like I kind of had buddies. I mean, it was beautiful, really.
It is so beautiful. So and this may be too personal, but for the women who are listening, because I've heard this story again in a different version, but over and over, about women who are married to somebody that has a double life and suddenly they don't have anything, right? How did your kids go to college? I know that I want to get into your color business because what you do is amazing. But before we get there, like, you're living in Richardson, you're in this little postage stamp of a house, you've got your precious children, y'all are all sort of, y'all are all recovering together from this major blow, right? And y'all are moving and growing and rebuilding. But how practically how was that happening?
That's actually a really good segue into the business, because I am doing this business to help them pay off their student loans. So they have a lot of loans. And that was a kind of a hard, kind of gripping thing for them. I think just like the reality of like, well, wait, none of my friends are having to pay for their education. I personally think it's good to have a little skin in the game and have a little loan. So I'm not opposed to that. I've kind of been able to sort of, by the grace of God and through my jobs, been able to do like some of it. And miraculously, I would say to women, like, God's economy is not ours. On paper, I do not know how. Probably 75% of all three of theirs. And I had one go to Rhodes, one went to OU, and one went to Ole Miss. I don't know how in the world 75% of that was paid for. He does it. He does it. And you just go, all I have to worry about is this semester. So how are you going to do it this semester? And it just keeps you plugged in for sure, because you're terrified, but he did it.
God, I love that. That makes I get all teary. I love that so much.
Amazing. He is so good. He is so good.
He's so good. So tell us about that is a great segue into your color business because I can remember when I first saw you when you were coming through Russia. It's like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. And you always have been inside and out.
You
Still
were a
are.
mix
And
between Farrah Fawcett and Olivia Newton-John. That's the way I remember you. I was like, I want to be whatever she is.
I love you. Well, you came through and I was like, oh my gosh, we've got to get her. We've got to get her. And because your spirit shone through, I mean, you were so beautiful. And as you know, there's so many beautiful women in this world, but not everybody is as beautiful on the inside as they are on the outside. And you always had that glow of just beauty inside and out. And so what you're doing now, I think is, if that isn't just your calling, I'm sure you have many, but this is one of many I'm sure you will find moving forward. But tell us about it.
Yes.
Tell everybody about it because I think it's really what my goal is in this podcast is for women to really listen to the gift inside of them that God has put in their heart and listen to his still small voice and follow that no matter how crazy or loopy or outlandish or how you think, how am I going to do this? And to step out in that fear and do it. And you've done it so well and so beautifully. So I would love for you to share with everybody what you're doing and your story behind that.
Well, I love that you're doing that. And I think a lot of, I didn't know I had a gift and I mean, I think anybody can study to do something, just find that intersection of passion and purpose. I mean, I for some reason years ago when my husband and I got married, which is a happy ending to that story. I'm married to my prince.
Can't wait to get there. I'm really excited about that part. There's a lot of frogs out there. Yeah. I love we found your prince. So we'll get there.
But he really encouraged me. He's like, we wrote down on New Year's Eve one night, like all the things that just you love. Like, what are they? And one of them, I just kept coming back to, I like color. I like repainting walls. I like, buying a pretty color shirt. I like fancy jewelry, like all the stuff about color. And years went by. I didn't, do anything with it. Then I sort of saw on Instagram, things that people are starting to talk about color analysis. And I had my colors done, but now I know it was kind of misassessed. But I couldn't figure out, I was like, is there something wrong? Like I'm feeling washed out. I'm having to put a lot of makeup on to get back up to the normal level. And so I just started diving in. I was like, I want to know everything there is to know about it. I did 2 trainings in Dallas. And then 6 months later, I did this master training in Toronto with the guru who kind of created the whole thing 40 years ago. And, I was like, I can do this. I know I can do this. And the best part about it, Nancy, is having people come into my studio and having one-on-one time with women. Mostly it's women. Sometimes it's men, but mostly it's women, and just like discovering their natural beauty. Listen, I live in Dallas. It is like the mecca for the needle. Like any filler, med spa, it's all here. And I am all for that. And yet, like, I feel like we miss so much. It's just in our closet. And like wearing the right colors can lift and brighten and take years off your face. And, if you're wearing the wrong ones, they do the opposite. They're adding wrinkles and they're dragging you down. And the thing about it is like what you mentioned, the inner beauty, like I think women have a sense when they feel beautiful. And even if everyone else thinks you look pretty, like you put a shirt on and you're like, you put a different one on, you're like, okay. Like, that's what I want. I want you to see you already are so beautiful. Go find the colors that are in harmony with you and double down on those colors. So
I love that. It's so true. Everything you said, I'm completely on board with. But starting a business after the heartbreak, you suffered, and it takes courage. So what fears did you have to overcome to say yes to this calling?
Well, I had been in the corporate world for a long time, 15 years. I was worked at the Container Store in their corporate headquarters and launched their organizing services all over the country. And like, I'd kind of like, I guess I was afraid of failing. I'm going to just spend a lot of money. And of course, it's my new husband's money because I kind of quit work. So I was like, now the stakes are even higher. He really believes in me. What if this is just a big waste? I mean, but
Yes.
he just kept saying, are you having fun though? Because if you have fun, you're going to end up making money. And it's not, yes, the money is going to my children, but it's also just that purpose of like, what am I really supposed to be doing? And maybe it's a little bit about color and making people feel beautiful, but what if it's just about relationships, about having someone stuck in my chair for 90 minutes and having real conversation? And like, I don't know. I'm open to whatever God has for it. For some reason, this feels like a really great fit right now, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah. See, to me, it sounds like it's not just a business. It's more of a ministry of sorts, because when you say you sit down with them one-on-one, and it's about making them feel beautiful. It's not just about making money and helping your kids, which is wonderful. And I love that God's equipped you with this gift to be able to do that. It's also, like you said, a purpose. I think we reach a stage in our lives where if we haven't been there before, we realize it's not just all about us. It's how we can serve others. And I feel like that's what
you're doing.
Do. Yeah. What you're doing, because you're helping women feel like the most beautiful selves. You're not altering their appearance or what God has given them, right? But you are enhancing it because everybody should feel that way, should feel confident and beautiful. And you're equipping them with the tools to do that and making a connection with them, right? While you're doing it, which is so cool. Okay. So I've got to get there now. Okay. So love your business. And at the end of this, I want everybody to know how to reach out to you, because it is such a big deal. In fact, I looked at some of the episodes that I've done already, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so not my color. What am I doing? I look.
We need to do you. I'll come to Austin.
Yeah. I'll come to Dallas. We'll do it. I'm dying to do this with you, because already those are out of my closet, and I thought they were such great colors. And then I saw them and they're not on me, on somebody else.
It's the difference of if you get a compliment and somebody says, oh, I love your top, versus your skin looks radiant. Like, pay attention to what you're wearing if they say the second one. Because it's like, you might think, they might be thinking, oh, I like that top for me, or
yes,
a brand or whatever, but they might not be thinking of like, oh, that looks good on you, versus your skin looks good.
Right. Okay. Love that. Okay. So I want to hear about your husband, and because finding love again after divorce or even a breakup, and there's a lot of women out there listening that are either divorced or they had a boyfriend and they broke up, and it can feel terrifying. So what made you brave enough to open your heart again?
Well, it started with my kids putting a playlist together for me to get ready to go on a date on Match.com.
No way. I've got to hear. Okay.
Drew was not on Match.com. I did 6 months of miserable dating. And I promise you, every listener that is listening right now and has been on Match.com knows how miserable it is. It is like, I could write a book about those experiences. However, so I was done. I was like, I'm good. I like my little house. I've got I'll get a bunch of cats, like whatever I need to do. Like, I'll grow old like this and just be fine. And then Carrie Randall, my little sister in the sorority, Carrie Campbell, she was like, no, I've got somebody for you. And she kind of accosted him in this parking lot. Their kids went to the same school. And she was like, are you open to dating? Because his wife had passed away 18 months earlier from cancer. And so here you have two people who have really been through it. Right. And just, there's a lot of depth and experience that goes into getting married later in life. And it's really, that's probably the best thing. It's like God has given us so much that we have empathy for each other. We've got compassion. We're not trying to change each other. Like all of those things that I lacked before, he just gives in extra measure. So we went to this restaurant. He said, do you want a glass of wine or do you want to get a coffee? And I was like, wine. Wine is good. So we met for wine at 6, and at 10:30, it's like a movie. Like they're mopping the floors and we're like, oh my gosh, it's 10:30. So that was the first date. Never looked back.
Okay. I love this as somebody who is single in the adult world and survived divorce, and did a very short stint on Match.com. I mean, maybe 2 weeks, and it was terrific. So I'm with you on this. But I think it's really great that you knew somebody who set you up, but how did you know if he was faithful before you went out with him? Talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure that was your non-negotiable, right?
He was in my Sunday school class at church, actually. He and his late wife, although I didn't really know her. And it was kind of the class that was big enough where people kind of rotate in and out, and they're serving in the nursery or they're not, 2 hours or whatever. But I definitely knew him because my friends and I called him the Nordic, because he's 50. He's 50% Finnish. And I was thinking his mom is 100%. He's 50% Finnish, and he had those eyes. And I was like, oh, the Nordic? You're going to set me up with the Nordic? So anyway, but when she called, so my grandmother had passed away. I'd just done her eulogy. We were very close. So Carey calls me and she says, hey, I know you're sad, but I just saw Drew Clancy. And I was like, wait, what? What? And she was like, I know. It's bad timing. But he's going to be calling you. And I was like, what have you done? I don't want to date. I told you this. I don't want to do this. And anyway, she was like, oh, suck it up. You can do it. So she was like, you're fine.
I love this.
So yeah, I mean, it's a tough world out there dating. But for the grace of God, I mean, honestly, that's a way to exercise faith, is that when the time is right, it's going to happen no matter what you do, or if you're looking for it or if you're not looking for it. Like there's nothing you can do to keep the right relationship from coming your way if you're in prayer about it. I truly believe that.
That's huge, because I have so many girlfriends that are single, and whether they're, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that are wondering, will it ever happen? Mm-hmm. And I love that that there is no stopping what God has planned for you is in his plans.
And it is good, no matter what. Here's the thing, even if I were still single, I would still be good right now.
Yes.
I mean, that is, I think, like his promise to us. Like he will take care of us no matter what. And I am so blessed and over the moon that he chose Drew for me. And, it's not like, oh, I prayed hard enough to get him. That's not it. This was the plan for me. And I'm so grateful. So
I think what you just said is so important, because for women who may not be believers, or even women who are believers, can be a difficult outcome to surrender, right? And to really know that you've surrendered that to him, and to not be striving for that, and I think women can get really lost in today's Instagram world of being perfection and trying to do this or be that to find somebody. And it's so not that, right? It's really just surrendering it and being okay, knowing that you're enough and that God's enough. And if it is his will and your desire aligns with it, it's coming.
Love that, Nancy. Yeah. And it's you. The right man wants you,
right?
Not who you're trying to be.
That's right. He wants who you are, authentic you. So to me, it's really heartbreaking to see women, I mean, doing gymnastics, right? And putting themselves into a pretzel to be somebody they're not, or look some way that they're not really, and to pick up things that they otherwise wouldn't be interested in. Yeah, so I love hearing your story, because when God moves, it's big, it's wonderful, and it's much more than we could ever ask or imagine, right? And that's what happened to you. So
That's
I
funny.
compare.
The exact verse that I pulled out, I was thinking about the summary of that, and you just said it. That's such a God thing. He will
Oh,
do more than we ever ask or imagine.
that's like my favorite. It's one of my go-tos. I'm just like, oh,
What?
I love it. And he will.
Besides that, I mean, more than we can dream up.
I know. But in the middle of it all, sometimes because we are human,
Yeah.
we and because, Satan's a big bad booger, we can lose sight of that.
Mhm.
And so I love that you have a community and had a community and still do, not only within your children, how great that they would make you playlists. That's but with your friends, and to
I
keep
know.
to keep your true north
Yeah.
what it needs to be. So tell everybody, so the love you have now with Drew, how is that different than what you thought love was before?
Well, I tell you what, the bar was set very high by my parents. And, I'd mentioned my real dad died when I was 2. My mom remarried when I was 8, and he adopted me. And so I just thought, well, that's impossible to get something like that. And now I'm like, okay, this is what it is. I mean, this is just, it's the greatest love affair of all time. That's what we say. It's just the
You
greatest
just
love affair of all time. There's just a mutuality to this love that it's so selfless. I mean, I'm thinking of him as I'm saying that's not myself, but like just, it, just attuned to me. And I feel like if and I don't ever want to take this for granted. And so I think having that as like a impetus to just make it as good as it can possibly be. I mean, I want him to feel the very best about himself every single day. He deserves that, and he should be honored and respected, and he's worthy of all those things. And so what happens is he also is thinking these things about me, and like I feel pretty great around him. It turns out.
yes,
So, and so I think about the ways I used to pick at my ex-husband, and I'm not, and it was not 100-0 in that. I mean, I for sure played a role in kind of tearing him down when I was frustrated or saying, of course you didn't do it, just stuff like that. And it's like, I, I ended up suffering from that because it doesn't feel good to be like that, treat
right.
somebody that way. And so it's fun I'm so excited that I get a second chance at how to treat your spouse.
Okay. I love all of this. And what for the woman who is thinking it really doesn't matter if he and I'm saying this because I have a friend and this came up the other night. And she's out there too, trying to find her guy
Yeah.
and hoping to. And I said, well, and it was on one of the apps, right? And I said, well, what's his faith like? And she goes, oh, I mean, and it was one of those, I mean, basically he believes in God. And I said, he believes in God. I mean, he believes that there's something out there. And I was like, whoa,
Red flag.
yeah. And so what do you say to the woman who is thinking that really doesn't matter so much? Because really what that's saying to me is she wants that more than,
Once. Right.
yeah, right. So, but what do you say to that girl who's listening who thinks that's really not as big of a deal?
So I would say you can coast a long time in that, and then your son gets cancer or you have bankruptcy and then what? So what happens when the foundation starts shaking? Are you going to just cling together? The whole thing of you growing closer to God, you're also growing closer together. Like prayer partner. I mean, the daily things. It's not just the big things, but like, gosh, I'm nervous about this thing. Will you say a prayer for me? Oh, you'll be fine. Good luck. Like that's not what is going to grow you closer together. So you might be able to coast for a while, but it's going to reveal itself eventually, and it's not going to be enough. And the only thing that's enough is God.
No, I 100% agree. Okay. So to kind of bring it all home, if you could sit across from the woman that you were at your lowest point, what would you tell her now?
I would say you can't see this right now, but you are being cradled in God's arms. Just rest your head. Just rest. Just rest in Him. He's got a plan.
Love that. Sorry. That's beautiful.
You don't have to do anything. Just rest.
Love that. And then finally, what would you say to a woman who feels like her life is falling apart and she's afraid that there's nothing good that's going to come after, ahead?
Well, I think, after I would say, cling to God. I would also reach out to a friend that you can really trust, and don't be afraid to disclose things that are just because of your image or what people might think of you or whatever. You would be really surprised how many other women are hurting and feel ashamed, or maybe they're with a man that hits them, or you know, they have severe money problems and they're living in an affluent community. I mean, you have no idea what's going on. And so if you are vulnerable with one person, make sure they're trustworthy. I mean, that's key. But just say, hey, can I just share some things with you that are going on with me? I'm not looking for you to answer, solve problems or whatever. I just need to talk. And I think we all have groups of friends, but I would challenge you, just who are your people? And just really dive in. And I promise you're going to return the favor and that's a beautiful thing, to be able to help somebody else through suffering, and then just be that prayer partner for them. So I think friendship is
Huge.
a rescuer.
Yeah. And then, okay, my last question is this. So you said something earlier that really resonated with me personally, but you were talking about when you'd married your first husband, that you married him, but really didn't dig into, as a young woman, because we do have a lot of young women that listen to podcasts, and we work with them, we see them on the daily. So, what advice would you give them about really digging into someone's character and knowing what you want and what your expectations are before you say do?
Yes. So my daughter is dating Cute Boy right now, and we've had all these conversations. And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. I think when I was 23, 24, it's just babies now that I think about it. But I saw that people kind of got married to whoever they were dating at marriage age. And you just do it because it's like, oh, Irene, that's so fun. Oh, you get to plan a wedding. That's so fun. And I love him. I had the two boyfriends my whole life. And so, you don't know what love is, but you're also not expected to, I think, at that age. You don't have a life experience. But there were flags, and I knew it. And I didn't really ever have cold feet or anything like that. Maybe that was because my kids were always purposed to be, and that's the way it was supposed to be. But the leadership of, guiding me in the word, and having that healthy prayer life as individuals, all about codependence and all that. I mean, I've learned so much about that, but you just you're not completing someone. That's not love. Love is when you're two full, whole individuals that love God and love others individually, that are together. So you're not finishing something. So I felt for many years that, well, I'll just be that spiritual piece in our marriage, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so I would have probed myself early on, don't settle, just fight. And he is out there. And if he's not, you're going to either stop wanting that, and there's going to be peace in that, or you're going to get it and you're going to go, I can't believe I worried all that time. Surrender. You said the word surrender.
Surrender. Yeah. Because he knows best, man. Every time I have tried to write my own happy ending, I mean, it is
never what you thought it was going to be. I know.
Oh, it's so wrong. I just want to rip that chapter and, be done with it. And because I took the pen away from him.
Oh.
You can't do that, but we want what we want when we want it. And so I love what you said. Yeah, just surrender. Carey, you are so wonderful and so beautiful. And I'm so glad you were here. And I want all the women listening to be able to know how to find you to get their color analysis done. So can you tell us quickly here?
Yes, you can follow me at Your Color Plan on Instagram. And I really don't do virtual. It's just a different beast. Frankly, I just worry about the accuracy with pictures and all that. But if you're in Dallas or you're planning to travel to Dallas, come see me in my studio. You can just DM me on Instagram. And I also do fun parties. So like get your girlfriends together. I mean, for a party, I would for sure fly to you. So it'd be so fun.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And people get wine and cheese, and I'm just kind of there like doing colors and on the side.
So fun. Sure. Well, I need to do it. So we'll be signing me up. Thank you so much for sharing your heart today and your story. And I know it will inspire others. And I'm just so grateful. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me today. I know you loved Carey and her story as much as I do. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the She Laughs podcast. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.